Hey guys, hope you are well. Wanted to go over a couple news stories that I've been paying attention to this morning. First, we will go to my Twitter feed. I tweeted it out super early. It's about MMT. When the Biden administration adopts MMT, notice I said when, not if. I think the probabilities are so high. I'm not going to say 100%, but they're as close to 100% as you can get. I'm curious how they're going to spin the narrative because they're going to adopt MMT. Let's remember that what you do with MMT is you merge the balance sheet of the Fed and the Treasury. So the whole point is you don't really have to issue bonds. You don't really have to generate tax revenue. There's no constraint on spending. They say that we shouldn't be asking the question, how are we going to pay for it? Those are the MMT people like Mosler and Kelton. And I would argue now, Janet Yellen, and they're going to be the main influencers for economic policy in the Biden administration, in my opinion. So my point here is it will be fascinating to see how they argue we don't have to worry about debt. We don't have to ask the question, how are we going to pay for it, for things like the Green New Deal. But on the other hand, we still need to raise taxes. So how do you square that circle or whatever the phrase is? I don't know how you rationalize that, but we shall see. And on MMT, or on the topic of MMT, as soon as I tweeted that, of course, I ran into this article, which illustrates my point perfectly. Janet Yellen, and this is today, Janet Yellen will urge lawmakers to act big to avert a protracted downturn. Biden's pick for Treasury Secretary is set to testify in nomination hearing before Senate panel. So what is act big? Whenever you hear the words act big from someone like Janet Yellen, that is code for print money. Or spend more money, more government deficit spending, more Fed monetizing the debt. And we go into greater detail here. Janet Yellen, President-elect Joe Biden's choice for the Treasury Secretary, will urge lawmakers in her confirmation hearing Tuesday to act big to avert protracted economic downturn and put aside concerns about mounting national debt. You see how we're gradually changing the narrative to adopt MMT. It's not a matter of if, it's really a matter of when. The next thing I wanted to discuss is something I saw on Barron's. And let me zoom in. Hopefully you guys can see this. Shipping rates are soaring. What that says about the economy and inflation. So these tankers that move goods from China to the United States, from Australia to Europe to Africa, South America, wherever, they are increasing their rates. And you guys have heard me say 1,000 times, I want to buy things when they are cheap and I want to sell them when they're expensive. So the income, the revenue for these shipping companies is increasing. That's good news. But what is their stock doing? And just as an overall 30,000 foot kind of macro level, I pulled up an ETF, this is this is the actual, or one of the actual companies. TNK is the ticker. And we can see they're trading at a whopping 1.78 PE ratio. Compare that to Tesla at what, 2000? So, and let me zoom in on this as well. There we go. Now you can probably see this a bit better. So the PE ratio at 1.78, extremely undervalued according to Yahoo. And compare this to, like I said, a Tesla or something else, one of these high flyer growth stocks. And I always say I like to buy things that no one even knows about or things that are hated. And you can tell that none of the people that are getting their stimmies and opening up Robinhood accounts, none of them are buying tankers. I can assure you of that. They're not buying tankers, they're not buying coal. And that's why I like to look at things like this. And we can see, if we look at a chart going way back, so this is a chart. I'm not sure why it's stretched out like that, but regardless, you can see what's going on here. Back in 2008 or so, I mean, this was up at $175. Even back in 2015, this was up at $61. Keep in mind, we're just reading about the revenues increasing for the companies, and we're at almost an all-time low at $11.74. I'm not saying go out and buy this. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to communicate is I prefer to buy things when they're cheap. I would consider this cheap than buying things when they're at all-time highs. It's going back to you're buying $1 for 50 cents instead of buying $1 for $3, hoping it goes to $5. And I also want to point out that we talk about things like this and tankers in Rebel Capitalist Pro. My good buddy Chris McIntosh, who I'm partners with, along with Lynn Alden, is an expert in this area. And we've been talking about tankers for the last 4 or 5 months at least. So if you want to find more things that are cheap, check out Rebel Capitalist Pro, and I will see you on the next video.